changing, the lot itself isn't changing. We're just changing the designation of what's allowable. So I imagine this is the same thing, essentially, that you're not really changing the lot, nor essentially what it's predominantly functioning as. It's a residential lot. You're not altering it, so the setbacks essentially stay the same on a lot of record. That's my thought on that.
So then you've also got 3 lots to the west. You've got a duplex, and that's currently falls in a C2A.
Well, the lots to the west are actually not developed.
Well,
No,
but
but
one
keep
more.
going.
Keep going.
Oh, I got
Then
you.
there is
yeah.
a duplex that sits
Right.
right there in a single
C2A
family house.
commercial, right.
Those are in a C2A that would be.
Yep.
But you're saying if we would apply the C2A rather than the R2, then the setbacks may have to be different, and we've got a construction underway.
True. Yeah. And so it's kind of interesting that when you have a lot of record, how you treat it. And frankly, I'm viewing this as when you have the lot of record and you're not changing the nature of the use of the property, so you're still saying residential, I'm thinking you can still keep it at the 5-foot lot of record standard.
Under an R2.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But potentially not under a C2A.
Right. I mean, so I think with C2A and residential usage, I mean, for example, let's say the buildings were completely removed and going to be rebuilt, kind of in Mr. Wedeking's example. Let's play it out on those C2A lots. I think that if they're too close by today's standards, they would have to at least meet the lot of record standards and maybe be adjusted for a new structure. Do you follow? So they'd have to meet a minimum 5-foot inherited lot of record standard because the lot itself does not meet the zoning. Well, and let's take a step back too. C2A is apples, residential lots are oranges, because the commercial lots, they have different setback standards than residential, okay? So you'd really have to look at those. So we would apply the lot of record standards as if it were a residential development in C2A. Do you follow? So in other words, C2A has a business use for setbacks and then other permitted use, which would be potentially residential through a special use. Then you would have to enforce the other permitted setbacks. So you would, let me take a step back and say you would have different setback standards based on the way our zoning code lays it out. So you just have to look at how it functions.
And I'm just looking at it from a conformity standpoint where you've got 2 duplexes or actually a multifamily, then I think it's not the AMVETS, but whatever it is, and then a
American
single
Legion.
family, and then a duplex again, and so there's some mixed use in there, and now we're going R1 and then R2.
Mm-hmm.
Even though those R1 lots aren't buildable.
Right.
See where you're just kind of jumping around, and so I was just trying to clean it up a little bit if there's a better way to do it.
You know, when these came in too, you know, Joe and I discussed this a little bit, and I think when we sat down and looked at it, my thought was, if he wants to do the R2, obviously it needs to come forward for a review, and you're going to base it on how it affects the public health, safety, and welfare. Is it in the spirit of what's there? Does it seem to fit in? Is it spot zoning? Is it out of place? I mean, so those are all questions we need to address tonight, frankly, in your recommendation to the council. So,
In my thoughts, it makes complete sense. I'm just trying to look at it from a zoning standpoint. So it's just, is there a better way to make this mesh into that neighborhood? Not that it really matters as you drive by. It's gonna match the appeal of the neighborhood, but I guess from our color standpoint that
I
we
get what you're
look at,
saying.
you know what I mean? It just so it doesn't stick out. So I don't know.
So I know I'll just mention this off the cuff too. I mean, this is kind of an opportunity for redevelopment, infill development again. It's not real similar to the one that we discussed on is the 2nd Avenue Northeast and 10th Street Northeast up by the water tower, where we had the lot on the inside of the curve where it was discussed about, you know, the R3 designation, infill development. Is it too much for that lot to handle? Is it too much traffic, too much, you know, just too much density? In this case, I think, frankly, it fits. I think it promotes kind of what, you know, at the city, I mean, an infill lot development, I think it makes sense if you can, and if it's in scale with the rest of the neighborhood, to put in a duplex versus a single family. But it's really kind of, you know, a lot of questions come up, and to address them, again, are public health, safety, and welfare, entrance points, are they is it a good idea? Are there any concerns from the neighborhood? Does it seem to fit in or not? I mean, those are all questions that need to be addressed before it goes to council.
It wasn't that long ago there was a home there, so.
Yeah.
The homes across the way are all R1.
All R1, all single-family detached.
Is there any opportunity that we can foresee with some of the flood maps changing, that any of those lots that were deemed not buildable might come back into the market?
I think so. I know that, just real quick, I know CDBG funds and HMGP funds, for the layman's term, the state had a pot of money to use also for buyouts. Those are the ones that they're going to be a little lenient with. And so of those, we had to be a little selective with those because those are going to be predominantly in our northwest and southwest parts of town, kind of in our historic district, kind of infill lots, I'll call them, that are in established historic neighborhoods. And so the thought is that right now there's discussions, I think, with Cedar Rapids as well, because, again, of the remapping and talk about a potential levy to remove, and can they bring back some of the residents to their community. That's, I think, going to drive a lot of this as we go forward. And the thought, too, is perhaps potentially restrictive covenants on style of construction on infill development to kind of mirror the residential character of the neighborhoods. So when you're asking kind of about this area and so forth, I don't think this was what we thought of, because I know for a fact these two lots, I believe, were the HMGP or the federal buyout, which are essentially kind of, I don't think it's possible. These are going to function for floodplain relief and open area, and I don't think that's going to change. Whereas other parts, there were some homes bought with state money that the FEMA gave to the state to kind of use with some discretion. Those are the lots we're targeting now and asking if we can. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you. Other questions? You ready for a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of the rezoning request from R1 to R2 for the area described to the City Council.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. The vote is unanimous, and motion is carried.
Question, do they need to do something with amending the comp plan as well?
Yeah, I think at the part of the motion, I neglected to write that out, but correct. We wanted to amend the comp plan from public to residential. I don't know if there would be a motion to add that.
I'll add that.
Okay, Huser will add.
You okay with the second?
Second's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, build that in. Thank you. Okay, moving to regular business. Excuse me. Review minor plat creating parcels EE, FF, and GG of Lot 66 and Lot 67 in the Stonehaven Plat 5 subdivision. BNKD, Inc., applicant is requesting a minor subdivision plat in the Stonehaven 5 subdivision. The applicant is seeking to create 3 lots out of 2 recorded subdivision lots. The 2 lots in question are Lot 66 and Lot 67, which are located on the west side of First Street Southeast. The resulting 3 lots will be Parcel EE, Parcel FF, and Parcel GG. The comprehensive land use map shows these properties as residential. A minor plat will be reviewed by the Commission prior to being considered by the Council. Ben, do we have anything on this?
We just have the plat of survey before you. You'll notice that it looks like it originally started off as 2 lots. I believe were targeted for like a duplex style of construction for each lot. The developer has decided, I guess, to redo those into single family lots. So what they will need to do then is to establish a service line connection to each of the resulting lots, which is not a big deal. So the plat you see here may be amended slightly to show an easement of sorts to consider an additional service line to service probably the middle lot, I believe parcel FF. Other than that, minor change after looking at that and consulting with the surveyor doing the plat for us or for the applicant, it looks like that's the only concern staff had on this.
As I look at the drawing out of the Beacon file, this is the same First Street that will connect across the Cedar River Parkway with the First Street leg that comes down there.
That's correct. The parcel to the north is being rezoned to an R4, which I believe it's been completed. So right now we're waiting to see what the developer may propose to show how it may connect with Cedar River Parkway.
Just one other comment. I drove down to this site, and what they're proposing lines up perfectly with the homes that are already built to the west. So the ones that would be contiguous to the west, those just seem to fit.
Single family across the street too, so it's,
So, this is not a public hearing, so we need to talk about this. Any questions? Comments?
Well, I think it fits. I mean, I think it, like you said, it matches up to the houses behind. It's a single family across the street. I think it's going to carry on with to the north is going to be similar lots.
You've seen some of the preliminary work on the development prospects on the north yet?
No, nothing's been formalized yet.
Okay.
I've seen it.
Have you?
That's what they're planning, is carry that street through. So, I mean, that's the last thing that he showed me.
Makes perfect sense. The one lot looks kind of small, but I'm not sure that this isn't super accurate.
You're talking about the EE?
It looks like that's proposed at 62 feet wide.
And isn't that what FF says also?
I'll have to use my zoom in tool.
If you can, it held my eyes.
62 for EE, 62 for FF, and then 88.9 for GG.
It looks like they're all, one
And
is
then the
69,
depth
the
would
other
be
is 62.
the 115.
Yeah.
That's what the developer wants.
I would move that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of the minor plat creating parcel EE, FF, and GG in the Stonehaven 5 subdivision to the City Council.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Go to item 2. It's to review a new subdivision of land within 2 miles of Waverly city limits on 190th Street north of the city limits. Mr. Chris Jones is requesting Bremer County to allow for the land subdivision of 4.11 acres, known as Parcel G, out of existing acreage for the purpose of constructing a residence upon it. The location is on the south side of 195th Street, approximately 0.6 miles west of Horton Road. I don't think that's correct. I think that becomes something else out there. Doesn't that become Eaton?
Oh, well,
Yeah, I think the Horton.
There's Easton
Oh,
to
okay.
the west.
everybody thinks of it as Horton.
I think of it as Horton Road, but I remember seeing
the
Easton?
Easton.
Easton, yeah.
Yeah, but everybody calls it Horton.
Yeah, okay. Waverly has ability to review any new subdivision request within 2 miles of the city limits per Iowa State Code. Bremer County will have the Waverly Planning Commission review and offer comments on the request prior to consideration. Does anyone have any comments? Ben, you got...
No,
whoops.
no comments.
You had a map.
Well, that's for the next one.
Oh,
I have an extra one to add under new business, but no real question or concern. This is pretty
The
standard.
map abandoned you.
Yes, it did.
Okay. Any comments for the county?
I don't think we're planning on extending any services out that way, are we?
No.
I'd say.
Shall we return with no comments? Bill, you're pondering this. Anything?
No, I mean, it just, obviously with C-33 and everything that we've provided comments to in the past, I don't think they're taking any crop out of CSR or whatever.
Now, this is not C-33.
No, I
It's
know.
half
but
a mile
it's-
south.
But it's
Okay.
actually, it's to the south, and
Okay.
and obviously it's been contentious along C-33.
Yeah.
With housing developments, and so, just so they, I guess, stay consistent with, I guess, decisions they've made in the past.
Okay.
And I'll just add really quick. I know with today's standards in CSR, corn suitability ratings, like it has to be pretty low, so you're not going to see prime ag land anytime be separated and allowed by the Board of Supervisors. And
This is mostly wooded or timbered anyway.
It is. Yeah.
They're just taking a piece out of a present acreage, it's not crop
Right.
land right now.
right, it's just present acreage, right? I just thought I mentioned that.
We can send it with no comment, or I guess my encouragement would be that we send it with full support. A more positive statement.
I have no problem with that.
That's fine. Anybody? Let's do it. Okay, moving to old business. Waverly 28E agreement, also known as 2-mile agreement, being formalized with Bremer County and the city of Shell Rock. Anticipated on being finalized by the end of 2015. That's
Yes.
information. And
That's just a quick update. We met with the Shell Rock folks, and after meeting with them, it was decided that we should probably sit down 3 parties with Shell Rock, Waverly, and Bremer County to perhaps get away from Waverly have an agreement with Bremer County, Shell Rock have an agreement with Bremer County, and then Waverly has an agreement with Shell Rock. So all 3 of us would sit down and formalize kind of one agreement that would benefit Waverly and kind of call it, in general, the Waverly Land Use Plan. And the thought with that was we would formalize, Shell Rock and Waverly, where Highway 3 goes westerly from Waverly city limits. The thought is with the intersection of Highway 218 going north-south and some of that overlapping area, I'll call it, we're proposing to call that an Area 4 between Shell Rock and Waverly, and then within the Area 4, trying to formalize with Bremer County that the desire is that we all sit down and look at that area together, and that all 3 parties have kind of a say-so, because in the end, it'll either be Waverly or Shell Rock, perhaps 20, 30, 50 years out, perhaps providing services, street connectivity considerations in that area. So it's a little bit of a, so it kind of morphed into this bigger task of a simple renewal to here we are in a full-blown kind of discussion phase where a preliminary draft has gone out to Shell Rock from Waverly and from Waverly to Bremer County, and we're waiting to hear back what their thoughts are. Once we hear that they're ready to discuss, we're going to meet together, all 3 parties, and kind of discuss it and come out of it with a pretty good sense for where we want to go with a 2-mile agreement that would benefit Waverly, also minding the rights and enjoyment of the Bremer County residents just outside of city limits, and also Shell Rock folks that may have an interest in developing between Shell Rock and Waverly. So that's where we're at with it. So I thought I'd share that with you. So it hasn't been formally approved yet. That's why you're seeing more requests coming forward for review from Bremer County to Waverly, because anything within 2 miles will now be reviewed until we can get that hammered out on what we want to review and what we don't. So that's where we're at with it.
could the sense of those remarks be included in tonight's minutes?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't you want to restate it?
He needs a lot of flex. Okay, we have one other item of old business, just to check on the status of corridor planning. Kate?
We've tried to meet a couple of times. Ben and I sat down and talked once or twice, and we talked about trying to pull us together as a group and see if we could have a update to the council in September, or to this group in September.
To the commission, yeah. Sounds good.
We'll
Apparently-
put out dates, see what works, and then go from there.
It's a little like herding cats.
Looking at a regular meeting night, or
Huh?
you're looking at a regular meeting night, or are you going to go to a special meeting?
Well, we're just doing a special meeting, and then if that doesn't seem to work with everybody, maybe we just predetermine like every other week or every 3 weeks, so we can kind of predetermine those on everybody's schedule, so that all of us can get on the same page and all on the same schedule. So, and frankly, if a couple of people won't work out, but we at least have 2, maybe 3 people that are able to, maybe we'll just go ahead and meet and fill in the others and keep going forward.
Okay.
So we'll do the best we can.
We just want to keep breathing life into this.
Would you always be doing on Thursday nights then, or?
No, we're not anticipating on doing this at like a P&Z commission meeting.
No, but I mean, would you look at the meetings on Thursday nights, or?
We could.
I mean, I'm just trying to look, just block out. I mean, the sooner you can do that, the better off. I mean, that's the only thing.
Okay, thank you. Ben, you have an item of new business?
Yeah, Bremer County sent me an item for 2 mile review just this week. I think it was Tuesday. They sent it in way too late to formally put it in our agenda packet and update it for you. So I'll just show you really quick where it is. All right, so the request we have is for a Marlis Marlette. They've asked the Board of Supervisors to consider an ordinance that would provide actually a zoning change from A1 to A2 for her described property, and generally it contains 4.96 acres. It's going to be right here. It's going to be next to Hilton. I'll just put my pen where it is there.
Near the trail.
Right near the rail trail. And so the rezoning change, essentially, in talking with Randy McKenzie, the zoning administrator for the county, it looks like they're just looking to sever off some property. And in order to do that, you need to first rezone it to an A2, which is a modified agricultural district for residential construction. I apologize, I didn't have a formal aerial. I was trying to bring something up on our internet server, but it looks like it's down for me right now on my laptop. So the best I could do is kind of show you this map. I don't know if that helps at all or not, but Hilton Avenue comes down off Highway 3, kind of follow the bend around southerly, and then it's right by the trail there. So again, outside of city limits, we don't anticipate on providing any city services to this area anytime soon. It's not proposed as an Area 2 in our former land use plan map. Nor is it planned to be annexed anytime soon. So, and I understand it's just low-density residential wells and septics out there. So, any comments that we can forward on?
What is the purpose, Ben?
Well, the purpose.
Family...
Well, I'm not exactly sure on the purpose. All I know is A1 to A2, agricultural to a modified agriculture with the Bremer County zoning standards, and that essentially means that they're either looking to do residential or to do something other than agricultural usage, so it's modified. So you are permitted to have residential, and you're permitted to have more building construction ability.
Ben, just one question. When we did the comp plan, we also outlined a possible path for a southern bypass. Does this looks as though it could be in some proximity to that.
Further west.
Okay.
We're looking at this area here.
Okay.
There, by the trail.
Okay.
Where the trail comes down. So.
Got it.
Well, the answer is no.
So what are we just like the prior request or
Right.
comments?
Right. Just looking to say, hey, has this sent up any red flags? Anybody have any question or concern about it? So it doesn't sound like it, but
What happens
Feel
if
free.
they want to build on it then? Does it come back for
Nope.
comment? No, we've already. Okay.
any change in zoning or a minor subdivision of land that will get ability to review and comment, but not really much say so with the way it's designed. Process, that is. That's all I have for that one.
Any comment that we can send on to the county?
I don't see any issues.
Just encouragement.
Encouragement? And it's always easier to do these
Sunday
when we get them enough ahead of time.
It's turning Democrat.
Okay.
Don't hold your breath.
Is there any other business to come before the commission? Who wants the honors?
I move we adjourn.
We are adjourned.
I'm not gonna sit here and wait for it.